Are you prioritizing protein throughout your meals? I stopped doing OMAD because I was not getting enough calories in and I was not getting my protein goals in, as I'm on a mission to improve the second half of my life and improve how I'll be showing up to life when I'm 80, 90 plus years old. What about you? Let's dive into protein and nutrient timing.
Welcome to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast, where we focus on discussing topics to help you burn fat, optimize health, and improve performance in life and sports. Transform the whole you from the inside out with the holistic method. Let's dive in. Now, here's your host, Debbie Potts.
Today, I want to start with why we need protein as aging athletes, men and women. And you can get tons of great information from Dr. Gabrielle Lyons' podcast and her website. You can even download her free Dr. Gabby Lyons Protein Diet PDF. Great information if you are getting started in prioritizing your protein and healthy fats. It doesn't need to be called keto, carnivore. It can just be called Eat Real Food, Ancestral Health. I'll also mention Dr. Ken Berry has the Proper Human Diet Guidebook on his website to teach you ancestral health, how to eat the foods that are good to help heal your body. You also have the Carnivore Cure from Judy Choi, a meat-only elimination diet for people that have more health issues. This is somewhere you can start with a very strict elimination diet would be for meat-only carnivore. And then other people who are struggling with different health issues may benefit from that. So there is not one size fits all approach. It's eat real food that makes you feel energized, satiated, powerful. In your workouts, you have the energy. And a lot of this information out there can be for the person that doesn't exercise. And so if you are feeling healthy, you don't have a lot of gut issues and signs and symptoms that we need to start with more of an elimination diet as a carnivore cure protocol, you can start looking at the Proper Human Diet, and then you can start looking at Dr. Gabrielle Lyons protocol, which I'm fine if you don't have some specific things we need to work on. I think everyone agrees with get rid of the processed food, eating from a box, eating from a package, and get real food. What macronutrient ratios, the fat and the carbs are going to vary per person, but I think everyone agrees with protein. And protein is, as Dr. Gabrielle says, muscle is an organ of longevity. And she talks about on her website in this ebook, you don't need to be a bodybuilder. You can focus on avoiding sarcopenia as you get older. As I keep mentioning, I watched my dad pass away last year and not having any good muscle strength, mobility, and went into the hospital with bed rest pretty much for 2 weeks. That I think killed him even more than his issues with heart, kidney, and cancer is sitting, not moving. And I just listened to a podcast on my way home today. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon had a guest on the show saying bed rest for even fit people, 7 days, you can lose 2 pounds of muscle. So muscle is key to our health. Muscle activation is key. And once you meet muscle requirements, Dr. Lyon talks about of muscle requirements for amino acids, the rest will follow. So I really am finding as I continue to evolve, and I know a lot of us have, that we want to not just think about high fat diet, healthy fats. And I think keto moved everyone into eat all the fat you want and stay away from protein and zero carbs. Now, if we are an active, fit, and healthy athlete, and I'm talking more for people middle age going through hormone changes, we all should be prioritizing protein, especially female. We need even more protein. And then athletes who are working out, we need even more protein. So the power of protein, you can read all about it. Dr. Gabrielle's new book comes out soon, and I already have it pre-ordered. It comes out in a couple weeks. The key roles of protein are listed here. But she mentions that protein is responsible for nearly all the work that is carried out in every cell. It is also needed for structure, function, and regulation of all tissues and organs. Dietary protein influences cell signaling, satiety, thermogenesis, and blood sugar regulation. Each of these roles is initiated by an increase in blood levels of amino acids. And most importantly, she says it is a key nutrient to feed and repair muscles, which is largely responsible for maintaining a healthy metabolism and optimal body composition. And I've been talking all about body composition in the previous 2 solo podcast episodes that I'm releasing back to back just so we can soak all this in. And I've been really diving into this, so I want to share it while it's fresh and I'm reading and researching and putting it together. I want to share it with you right away. So, key roles of protein include immunity, enzymes, hormones, repair, detoxification, neurotransmitters, and the list goes on. What you'll hear a lot about is balance. And this is interesting research that you can't just have OMAD and try to get your 100 grams of protein or more a day in. Some people say you can't, but I do believe in this to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. We want to have a balanced protein distribution. And Dr. Stacy Sims says this as well, that having 30 grams of protein 3 times a day, say you're trying to get 90 grams, is a minimum of protein recommended for muscle protein synthesis. So Dr. Gabrielle has this in her protocol. You can pull it for free on her website, but just a great graph when you see in unbalanced protein distribution versus a balanced protein distribution, how it can impact your ability to build muscle. So we want to have our amino acids get the right threshold necessary to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. So when the protein is low, carbs and fats are likely to be unbalanced, causing the body to store fat and blood sugar to be negatively affected. And so she has a graph on here, the optimal muscle health and metabolism support, evenly splitting that protein throughout the day, getting at least 30 grams of protein at each meal. So if your goal, she always talks about, just I think for athletes, we need to reach a little higher for protein, especially you're breaking down muscle in long workouts. Your catabolic is breaking down your muscles in your workouts as strength training and long distance endurance training. So we want to look at hitting those protein goals. She suggests, as I always say, your ideal body weight. Figure that out. That's the number of grams of protein you want to strive for each day. So she says the general rule of thumb, total daily macronutrient ratio is 40-30-30. 40% carbs, nature's carbs, starchy carbs in small amounts. But if you're exercising, this is what we're talking about, how you can add in strategic carb timing. Having those potatoes with some butter and some sea salt and cinnamon. Having that protein post-workout we'll talk about is really important for women even more than men. Now, 30% of the protein is 30 grams 3 times a day at the minimum, and then up to 30% of fat. Now, obviously, that's different than keto is going opposite. They're saying 70% fat and 5% carbohydrates, and then your protein in there. So I see a lot of keto programs that I was trying to help with, one keto program, and they were doing such low protein intake for these middle-aged older adults, and I really had a problem with it, and probably didn't want to work with me anymore because I think everyone needs healthy fats and proteins, essential amino acids and essential fatty acids. And us athletes are going to be so different than all the other protocols you hear about are not for metabolically healthy, active individuals that are working out hard once a day, doing maybe 2-day workouts, doing a lot of endurance work, speed work, and all the lifting we should be doing. So the base starts with Dr. Gabrielle's protocol is a 40-30-30. And I think that's, again, we're going to say it depends. It's not one size fits all. So we kind of have a starting point. If you wanted to go more keto, that's going to be way higher fat than she suggests. The protein is about that 30%. So maybe, sticking with the protein, then adjusting the carbohydrates and the fat based on your activity level, your genetics, because some people can't tolerate as much saturated fat than others. And looking at your activity level and the type of exercise you're doing, the intensity will change how many carbohydrates. And we are more females, especially insulin resistant as we age. So we can't tolerate as many carbohydrates. That's why we want to have strategic carb timing, eating those carbs to improve performance. We want to eat them before that workout session. So we want a time when we're having natural source of carbohydrates as berries and tubers, potatoes, stuff like that. So that will vary for men and women, fit and healthy individuals, and the perimenopausal and postmenopausal women, we might even adjust things differently. So it is very one size fits all. These are guidelines. It's a template. So you can look at more of a ketogenic diet or a carnivore diet or that's proper human diet, ancestral health diet. Dr. Gabrielle Lyon protein diet is different again. But she's talking about getting your fats, as everyone, I think in our ancestral health space, suggest the fat is going to be best from monounsaturated fat, which is avocado oil, cold pressed oils, hazelnut, filberts, macadamia nuts, butter, olives, extra virgin olive oil. Then the best saturated fats are going to be your animal fats. We just made some bacon and save that bacon and save that fat from your meat. Use that clarified butter or ghee, coconut oil, MCT oil, coconut butter, coconut flakes, and sweetened. Read your labels. Shouldn't have any sugar in those ingredients. Coconut milk. Again, read your labels. And occasionally the PUFA oils are the almonds, almond butter, Brazil nuts, cashew butter, pecans, pistachio. So going for more the animal-based diet, you're going to look for the healthy fats are going to come along with that meat. So it should be in one source. And then if you're having nuts, you want to make sure they're soaked and sprouted. If you're having grains, you want to make sure they're properly prepared as well, or else you probably could be having some issues with those. So the carbohydrates, Dr. Gabrielle talks about in her site, are going to be different. This is where you have to look, I think, at when I do nutritional therapy assessment with people. Do you have signs and symptoms of needing to reduce FODMAPs, lectins, oxalates? So that's why vegetables are so kind of different per camp, so to speak, who you're talking to. But I like to think, avoiding stuff with the seeds for some people. I look at their nutritional therapy assessment first, and then ideally, if we have the money, people will do Vibrant Wellness Food Zoomers, and we'll learn more about their food sensitivities, what we need to eliminate. But I'd rather go for athletes, I think safer side is having your berries that are in season, low sugar fruit. I like to have an apple every now and then with almond butter, nut butter. Trying to not have that as much, but I like to do that. Winter squash, beets, parsnips, potatoes, sweet potato, turnips, carrots. Those are always told for people to have in small amounts with your lunch and dinner, but I think that's where you can time it. If you're doing a harder workout, that'd be a good quality source of carbohydrates. So you want to look for nightshades, gluten-free grains. If you're having those, you have to make sure they're sprouted for most of us. If we've got issues, low FODMAP. You want to look at what those are, so you can look on Pinterest and get charts for everything. And then serving size. I like to not count calories. I like to just eat to fullness, and that's why I always say prioritize protein. So if we're looking at 30 to 50 grams of protein spread throughout the day, well, 7 grams of protein, 7 gram size of the weight of the protein. The serving size is 4 ounces, is 30 grams of protein. Now, I must say, I ate 2 chicken breasts the other day. Neil's been using the Laird's turmeric creamer powder and oil and soaking that and then cooking the chicken's so much better. And then you add butter on it and sea salt. So good. Ground beef, for example, 4 ounces is 33 grams. So if you have, like, I can eat a lot because I'm tall and I guess more muscle, to feel full, I prioritize protein first, and you have to chew your food and eat slowly. I need to take digest enzymes to break my food down, or else it sits there for a day. So I know I have slow motility in breaking down food. So enzymes before you eat is very beneficial. Don't take HCl unless you test if you have H. pylori or not, because that's very common to be high in everyone I test. So make sure you test before you take HCl. Now, ground bison is 29 grams, ground protein. So all about 4 ounces of protein is roughly 30 grams. So 4 ounce size, serving size, 30 grams for all these, 28 to 33 grams. Lamb, pork, salmon, shrimp, halibut, scallops. Now, you can use this is from Precision Nutrition, a size of a palm is 1 serving, a fist is serving of vegetables, cupped hand is serving of carbs, a thumb is serving of fat. So that's on Precision Nutrition. But, planning ahead, I think it is expensive to eat more protein that's grass-fed, but you can find things at Trader Joe's and check out Whole Foods and looking at, not Whole Foods, that is expensive, but you can find things that are on sale. On sale is ideally better, obviously, but Costco is what I was trying to say. Costco has some great options of wild caught. Don't buy the farm raised crap. Ugh. Don't buy the factory farm animal meat. Not so good. But if you can't afford the grass-fed stuff, try to, eat the other stuff. But I would make sure we're supporting the liver and doing a liver detox for everybody and GI detox type of stuff. And then if we looked at the Dr. Berry's Proper Human Guidebook, he made this a couple years ago, 2021, but there's a big list of foods, and he goes more on ancestral health research. He's gone to, start people on this, but if you have issues, you look at his YouTube videos, he's got millions of followers, but the bacon, butter, beef, and eggs, and then small fish. So you can just eat that and that'd be simple. Now, these are people that have metabolic issues. So if you are metabolically unhealthy, this might work. If you are exercising, as we're talking about doing for the aging athlete, doing more HIIT, sit training, plyometrics, and heavy resistance training, well, you might need to add a little bit carbs. So it depends on the person. That's why we want to work with a coach and get a personalized program. Dr. Ken Berry talks about in his program that there's a lot of inaccurate information and misleading diet information that's hard to know what to eat and what to drink. And he's, as myself, not a fan of all the keto products out there and all the labeling of things that are going to help you. Now, you want to just eat real food, and there's certain things you should try eating and think about how you're eating it, how you're chewing, being mindful, taking your time eating during the rest and digest state. Now, he chooses foods that are low carb or even zero carb with carnivore in a more ketogenic diet, but he likes to talk about the PHD diet, proper human diet, which I like that word. Meat and seafood are all fine to eat, but he has a list of all sorts of food. Organ meats, people will eat. I do not. I will take them in a capsule, but you can look at all the sources, but you want to watch out for anything breaded. Cured meats have honey and sugar on it, glazes and sauces. You got to watch out for the flour. I can't do any wheat, so I always have to avoid those. Processed meats, we want to watch out because there's often starchy carb fillers, especially that I probably got these sausages, paleo sausages at Costco, and I'm sure they have stuff in them. It's not just clean piece of steak or grass-fed beef when you're getting sausages. But seasonings, many rub seasonings have dextrose or maltodextrin, so you want to check what you're using on your seasonings and watch out for what you're eating. Read the label. Shouldn't have a label. We want to get stuff without ingredient list. Vegetables, there's some acceptable vegetables in Dr. Ken Berry's program, but lowest carb, nutrient-dense vegetables. You can do raw, lightly steamed, and I think if you're exercising, you can tolerate these, right? You're not going to throw yourself out. You're eating for performance. So there's different lists of foods on his site. And foods that are too starchy should be avoided while you're trying to lose fat. He says potato, rutabaga, peas, carrots, jicama, beets, turnip, beans, sweet potato. Only thing I would say not to eat are the beans. I think for you, the active athlete, and if we're working on the menopausal female athletes, we need some carbohydrates so we can work harder and help us use that fat for fuel. And so also looking at full fat dairy and reading the ingredients there and good quality oils and eliminating, everybody should eliminate the vegetable oils. I think everyone agrees on that platform. Get rid of the canola oil, peanut oil, sunflower oil, margarine, corn oil, grapeseed, safflower, Crisco, country crock, soybean oil, flaxseed, sesame, vegetable oil. I can't believe it's butter. I can't believe they still sell that or that people even buy that, but they don't probably know that it's not good. And even walnut oil, he says. So anyways, check out Dr. Ken Berry, Proper Human Diet. He's got a gazillion videos on YouTube, and they have a Monday night call. But remember, his audience isn't the athlete. He's not working on my demographic. So I'm trying to take all the information from the people that I love in our community and translate that information for you, the active individual. That's why I like what Dr. Stacy Sims is saying, because she's looking at going, hey, you're not talking about the active individual, and you're not talking about the fit active female athlete with changes in her hormones. So we want to really pay attention to you, the individual, meet you where you're at, right? So we customize everything and design a program based on what you need. Now, you can get this PDF from Dr. Ken Berry. Has a list of nuts and seeds. You can watch that. I think those are something I go to when you're hiking, pre-workout, but you have to make sure they're not in vegetable oils. So you might want to get raw nuts and soak and sprout them. You can put them in the oven and put your own Redmond sea salt or something on them. But a lot of the nuts can be contaminated with mold. I try to avoid peanuts because they're usually high mold content. Macadamia nuts, where I was told, are good, but I can eat the whole bag of nuts. So I stopped buying nuts, but I did buy some pumpkin seeds because those are easy not to overeat. But Brazil nuts too, for people with thyroid issues. Get the selenium. You only want to have 3 to 5 of them, I think it is. All right, so I'm going to close that out, close Dr. Gabrielle, and look at the Carnivore Cure. You can look at Dr. Judy's website, but she has different phases. If you have health issues, this is a good place to look. Phase 1, eating just beef, lamb, venison, bison, elk, ruminants. Animal fats are coming from ruminant animals. Liquid fat from cooked meats. You're having water. Coffee and tea is optional. People don't do coffee on strict carnivore. I don't know how they do that, but coffee does not serve you well if you have adrenal issues, high adrenals. You don't want coffee. I had to eliminate it when I had my adrenal issues, mold illness, histamine intolerance, gut dysbiosis, acid reflux, malnutrition. You don't want coffee. So I would look at, there's some teas that you can get that aren't teas. It's, so what did I have? I don't know. There's something, but now I can't have wheat. So I forget. I think it had something in it I couldn't have anyways, but you can have some other options. I like sparkling water with some lemon and apple cider vinegar, which I'm drinking now. So this program, Dr. Judy's program, is great if you have a lot of health issues. And she always says in her podcast, she works with sick people that have a lot of issues. So not everyone needs to start phase 1 carnivore cure elimination. This is for severe gut issues, autoimmune, chronic illness. That's when you start in this phase 1. So if you have histamine sensitivities, gut dysbiosis, you have to work with a coach and go through these phases. Now, phase 2, she talks about, working towards this. If you have 3 to 5 symptom-free days, you can add in certain foods and working on journaling. She uses my nutritional therapy intake forms I use, and you can track your food and mood. And then phase 2, she adds in organic turkey, egg yolks, no egg whites, ghee from raw dairy, cultured butter, animal fats from beef and turkey. Anyways, you can look at that if you have health issues. That isn't a good option. Then we go to the athletes. So I've interviewed a couple of years ago Kion Amino Acids, co-founder of Kion. They talked to amino acids pre and intra aerobic activity, primarily for energy source to prevent muscle breakdown. So we want to avoid muscle breakdown and muscle fatigue. You can take those amino acid essential capsules or powder. Pre-strength training also helps to prime muscles for muscle protein synthesis. So you can take aminos pre-workout, before strength, and for long cardio. I used to take when I was racing, when I started training Ironmans in 2001 was my first Ironman, and I would do essential amino acids, well, it's branched chain amino acids every hour in this little zip baggie with Racecap Supreme and Endurolites. So I was taking that from Hammer Nutrition for years. So aminos pre-strength workout for priming the muscles for muscle protein synthesis and muscle breakdown. Okay, so here's one suggestion. So take all that I just talked about. Now let's move into endurance training, prioritizing protein. So protein breaks down to essential amino acids. So if we're doing endurance training less than 3 hours, Kion suggested pre-training 5 to 15 grams of essential aminos. Within the workout, you're doing 5 to 10 grams every additional hour of training. You can sip it throughout in your water bottle. I can't do stevia, so all this doesn't work for me anymore. It's driving me nuts. Everybody has stevia, but that's an issue for me because I'm high maintenance. Now, I'll put this blog that I'm reading all this in the show notes. So during endurance training over 3 hours, you want to make sure you're doing post-workout 10 to 20 grams. If you're doing workout less than 3 hours, you just can do 5 to 15 grams. Now, I'll get to what Dr. Stacy Sims talks about post-workout 30 grams having 30 minutes have 30 grams of protein. This is essential amino acid powder, or you can do what Stacy Sims talks about, doing a shake. I can't sit down and have a meal. I don't know who can. 30 minutes after they did a hard workout or a long workout. It takes a little bit of time for your stomach to settle and get more out of sympathetic dominance, right? So you need to have that protein post-workout, but drink your aminos, have capsules. Problem is 20 grams of capsules, 20 grams essential aminos is a lot of essential aminos. So, looking at getting a scoop or 2 scoops of whey protein in a drink is a little bit easier than taking a ton of essential amino acid capsules. So I like to take 2 scoops of the whey protein and get 40 grams, 30, 40 grams of protein that way and drink it. So you can do Kion whey protein. There's Equip beef protein if you can't do whey. So if you found out with a Vibrant Wellness Food Zoomer test, I identify when I'm doing my health coaching for my clients what foods to avoid. Whey protein is often an issue for a lot of people. So if you can't do dairy, whey might be an issue. Some people can't do dairy, but whey is okay. So it depends on which part of the dairy protein that you can't do. So whey is an option. Equip has beef protein. There's also bone broth protein. And then you can do, as I said, the essential aminos. If you're vegan too, that works, but you have to take 5 grams of essential amino acids, I think are equal to 10 grams of protein. I think if I remember that right. Now, when I make a shake, if I want to add a little bit more to a post-hard long bike ride, for example, I'll add glutamine and colostrum into it and some Redmond sea salt and half a frozen avocado for some, makes it really thick and creamy, but also some healthy fat. Mushroom adaptogens, some ashwagandha, stuff like that. Some Lion's Mane. I use Laird's Superfoods, has a mushroom adaptogen mix. Maca powder, I put that in there, and a little scoop of raw nut butter, sunflower butter, or almond butter, but I'm trying to not use almonds so much. And then if you need more fat, you can add some MCT oil, but I get it from the avocado. So that's what I would do for post-workout. Now, before bed, I'll mention this because this is on my notes here. Having some sleep supplements, Sleepy Time tea, having magnesium, BioOptimizers is really good, a little more expensive, but if you can't afford that, some other ones I could recommend on Fullscript. And then glycine, and Aristotle is not on my list, but that's another thing. Also adding creatine to your workout, that's another conversation we can go into. Creatine is 3 to 5 grams we want to make sure we're having too. For exercise, muscle muscle strength and brain health too. But magnesium before bed, 400, 700 milligrams. Also, I would add in essential fatty acids. 3 to 5 grams of essential fatty acids is good for anti-inflammatory from those hard workouts. So, Dr. Lyon protocol, I talked about that, the 30, 50 grams throughout the day. We want to build muscle by heavy weights, prioritizing protein each meal. Don't eat 3 hours before bed. Wait to eat in the morning when you're hungry, so it's 12 hours since you ate dinner. Maybe you add in some bone broth. This time of year as it gets a little colder, I love to have bone broth every day. I love Bonafide Provisions bone broth. You can buy it in the freezer section. I don't like Kettle and Fire because if you put any bone broth that you get, make it, heat it up. Don't use a microwave, bad. Put it on the stove, and if it heats up, drink it, and then whatever you have left, keep it in a mug, put it in the refrigerator. And if you go the next day or a few hours later, if it's not gelatinish, collagen, jelly on top, that's not, if it's still liquidy, no go, no bueno. So try to get a quality bone broth that has a little more gelatin in it. You can tell by doing the refrigerator test. Now, I give my clients, Rob Wolf did this, it's a great list of how to make a meal. It's called the Food Matrix List. So you can put a column all the foods of protein, column of your carbs, your vegetable or fruit, and then seasonings, and then healthy fat. So you can make meals up if it's meatballs or turkey burger or steak, salmon, chicken skewer. So pick your protein and then pick what you're eating with it. Sometimes I just feel like the other day I just had the chicken with butter on it and sea salt. I didn't feel like the squash that we had with butter and salt. I didn't feel like it, so I didn't eat it. Meat's a pizza. You can use a gluten-free crust or cauliflower crust. But barbecue tri-tip is really good. Just watch out for that wheat in the sauces. Get sauce-free. Making your own sweet potato fries. Making your own roasted broccoli or Brussels sprouts with bacon. There's lots of options. Cobb salad I've been doing lately, just with iceberg lettuce for the crunch, hard-boiled eggs, bacon, chopped chicken, turkey, just meat, or you can do a seafood Cobb. Has shrimp, crab, and lobster on it. So there's lots of options. Okay, so next we want to get into the female middle age. We want to make sure we are hitting those protein goals because what do we lose, all of us, men and women, as we age, is muscles, muscle strength. You look at people, your parents, older people, they're having sarcopenia, losing muscle. So what we want to do is what we talk about all the time, lift heavy weights, 3 to 5 exercises, 3 to 5 sets, 3 to 5 reps with 3 to 5 rest in between. So we want to optimize that window so we can enhance muscle protein synthesis. So for females, we want to make sure we're eating that post 30 minutes, having that immediate protein, then wait to have your meal when you're ready to eat. Men, they don't have that 30-minute window as we do. I think it's 3 hours or longer. Some say like 12 hours. So another thing I wrote in here is collagen. Collagen peptides is not a complete protein, but I did look this up. Collagen peptides are in their natural form are not a complete protein because they lack one or more of the essential amino acids needed by the body. A complete protein contains all 9 essential amino acids in the right quantity. Collagen protein is low in 2 essential amino acids. Do you know what they are? Tryptophan and methionine. So to make collagen peptides a complete protein, you have to combine them with another source of protein to complete their amino acid profile. So I searched this one. You can combine the collagen with a complementary protein. So what would that be? A whey protein is rich in essential amino acids, including those that are deficient in collagen. Mixing collagen peptides with whey protein can create a complete amino acid profile. Egg whites are another protein source that contain a good balanced essential aminos. So you can combine collagen with an egg white protein that can fill in amino acid gaps. If you are plant-based, you have to work a little harder getting that amino acid profile to get the leucine 2.5 to 3.5 grams. But with the collagen, plant-based proteins, it says pea protein, rice protein, hemp protein can be complementary to collagen, but you have to have this combination of them together. So you'll need multiple plant-based sources to ensure the complete amino acid profile. So you'll notice on the plant protein shake mixes, they're not just pea protein. You need to look at the amino acid profile on the label, make sure it's pea and rice and sometimes hemp to get the complete profile. So we want to get all those amino acids. They're essential amino acid, remember. So dietary diversity, getting ideally your protein from real food to get all your essential amino acids, but collagen supplements can help. They do help your skin, hair, joint health, all of that I know I'm all about for my aging skin. I'm out in the sun more, swimming and being exposed to the sun. I think it's part of this aging process. I need to be really careful supporting my skin health, hair, nails, joint with a good source of collagen, but also make sure it's not by itself. So don't count your collagen as your 30 grams of protein. So if you are, make sure you combine it. So if your goal is to increase protein intake for muscle growth, you have to get a more complete protein as animal products, dairy, and then plant-based proteins. You have to be really careful to get all the essential amino acids. So that was my research on collagen protein because people always ask that question. So next, we want to go into the protein, adjusting carbs. What is that going to go into? Oh, here's what I want to talk about. Dr. Stacy Sims, for female athletes, talks about goal pre-workout, 100 to 150 calories of 15 grams of protein and 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrates to bring fuel on board for a key workout when you're doing metabolic conditioning, cardiovascular work, and the protein you need before resistance work. So you can look back using the Kion, essential amino acids, or real food protein before your resistance training. If you're doing a workout that's resistance work and HIIT training or long cardio, you want to combine protein and carbohydrate fuel for the best performance gains. So she talks about doing a banana nut butter or maybe a real food source protein bars. I suggested Laird's has a new adaptogen bar I like. There's almond butter one that's good, or lemon butter. That's what it was. Laird's, S Fuels, or Kion are some ones that I like that are pretty clean. Gluten-free I need to do, but you could do like a gluten-free sourdough bread with nut spread or some olive oil, sea salt, some nuts. You just have to be careful with your source of nuts and make sure you digest them, chew them, not just throw them down the hatch. Chew your food. Post-workout, we want to start the anabolic process. So we want to add in 20 to 40 grams of protein, so say 30 grams, around 30 minutes. Now, just listen to this podcast, as I said, with Dr. Lyon on her show today. She was talking about where'd the 30 grams of protein come from? And that's the right amount of essential amino acids with that leucine. That needs to be the right amount of leucine to stimulate. I have it down here in the blog. For muscle protein synthesis to occur, we have the leucine, specific leucine amino acid triggers 2.7 to 3.5 grams of leucine post-exercise to signal the muscle to start muscle protein synthesis. And that's where they were talking about in this podcast today that the 30 grams, that's where it came about, the right amount, kind of where it comes to that you need. So post-workout, we want to make sure we're eating that protein. Now, for female athletes, what's interesting, we talk about nutrient timing, when to eat to maximize performance, and then post-workout to get yourself out of that catabolic breakdown state. So we want to make sure we're timing our food. When to eat is really important. What to eat, but also when to eat. It's really important for our body composition, performance gains, and our recovery. So we want to fuel around the exercise session that we're doing and aid in the recovery process after. So the goal is to understand how we recover from a workout session, and how we get stronger is after that workout. So we want to maximize our body's ability to adapt to that stress. Remember, exercise is a stress. An acute stressor is what? Hormesis. And we want to adapt and get stronger. That's what a workout is, strength training. That's, cold therapy plunge, those small acute doses of stress. And that's what exercise is, acute stress. We also can do overtrain and become chronically stressed by doing too much exercise is the flip side. So the Goldilocks effect comes into here as well. So we want to maximize the body's ability to adapt to the stress, as I said, created from our exercise session, to maximize exercise-induced muscular adaptations and to facilitate repair. We do not want our body to stay in a catabolic breakdown state. And this is what we tend to do. And I do often because you get done working out and you're rushing to get showered or you're going home to start work. You're just on the go. So we have to plan, females, especially because men can wait and still get the same results. But us females, we need to eat, have some protein. If it's essential amino acids, take a handful of them or put a scoop of Keanu in your water. Or I didn't add in here, Brad Kearns has a BRAD on Amazon of whey protein with creatine. Brilliant. It's so good and it's natural. It doesn't have all the crap in it. Vanilla's from vanilla beans. So it's true stuff. Now, if we don't eat after the workout, we're signaling the hypothalamus that we are in a breakdown state. We're in low energy state. So if we do this, Stacy Sims says 4 days in a row, we're taking that body into thinking, oh, I'm in signal of stress, red flags are up. We're going to be in a catabolic state and we're going to down regulate our thyroid because we're not eating a little bit of protein post-workout. So we really need to do this. Especially if you're like me, you're going, okay, I'm doing all the right things. I'm doing my lifting. I'm doing my HIIT training. I'm doing my sit training, doing my recovery. But if you're not matching your fueling and your training together, you're probably not optimizing those workouts and getting the body composition changes you're looking for, and the power and the speed and the performance gains by eating the right foods, the right macros, the right type of food around that workout, the right amount. So our body needs the right type of nutrients fueling in and around the workout, especially this post-workout window, to signal the body that the exercise stress is complete, Stacy Sims says. And she talks about now we can begin to prepare the process from the workout to create those adaptations to that stressor, exercise stress, that hormetic stressor, and start to get stronger. And then we're ready for the next time we work out for that stress again. So the recovery in between workout sessions is really important, as well as what we're eating and allowing our body to go, hey, I'm okay. I just got you stressed out. But now we're bringing it back down. We're going to come back to an anabolic state and recover. And here's the nutrients you need on board so you're safe. We're not going to stress you out anymore. So us females are a little more sensitive and we have a little more hormones like kisspeptin that we need to look out for. So I don't want my thyroid down regulated. And that's another thing I need to have my friend Amy come on here again, the thyroid fixer, because I think a lot of women are taking thyroid hormones and it's doing nothing for them. And there's multiple reasons, but I think it's not addressing why they have low thyroid. It's just a Band-Aid. So I need to talk to Amy about that. I should text her after this, remind me. So solution for fueling our training session. All right, fueling for your training on board. Nutrient timing, as I said, to summarize, 100 to 150 calories for women, 15 grams of protein, pre-strength workout, 30 grams of carbohydrate if you're doing a high intensity workout or a long cardio workout. If you're doing a combination of HIIT and strength, resistance, heavy weights, try 15 grams and 20 to 30 grams of carbohydrates on board. Post-workout for recovery, repair, rebuild, suggest 30 to 40 grams of protein with a little bit of carbohydrate to decrease that you're in a catabolic breakdown state. Okay, so muscle protein synthesis is what we're talking about overall today's main subject. Exercise type improves glucose control and homeostasis. So we can pull glucose into the muscle via exercise and post-exercise without the need for insulin. Because women, as we're older, we are insulin resistant. We're insensitive to insulin. So we need a little help getting glucose into that cell for energy, and then we can burn fat. But without doing their exercise interval training, we're not getting that. So post-resistance training, HIIT training, sit training, endurance training, our body needs these essential amino acids to promote muscle protein synthesis. Again, I'm saying all this, just summarizing once again. We need an external stressors, exercise, plus protein, amino acid intake to promote muscle protein synthesis. We need resistance training and protein to change our body composition, to improve lean body mass. Nutrient timing in and around workouts reduces our risk for low energy availability. A lot of us are not eating enough, especially me. I was doing a 16-8 fast for a long time, doing OMAD and doing just 2 meals a day recently, not eating after I worked out at nighttime because it was 5 o'clock, get home at 7 o'clock and I didn't have anything. Not good for building muscle. So learn from my mistake. Protein timing distribution. Remember, for the key for muscle protein synthesis is at 30-40 grams, as Dr. Gabrielle talks about, spread out throughout the day. And going back to her easy formula, I think is just simple. 100 grams or more a day of protein for sure, but 1 gram per pound of ideal body weight. So if you're trying to weigh 125 pounds, that is your ideal weight. That's what you need to get in protein, spread out 30 to 40 grams at a time. So you need to space it out. And the protein you have needs to have the essential amino acids with the leucine needs to be 2.7 to 3.5 grams, I said, especially that post-workout to signal the muscle to start muscle protein synthesis. So continuous feeding of protein, if you're just eating every hour, just ton of binging on just meat and steak and fish, it doesn't help. You have to spread it out, say 3 to 4 hours, and be in that window. And then it's 3 hours, muscle protein synthesis. Okay, I'm starting to feel hungry, because I don't want you to just eat for no reason. You need to be hungry. So, timing your food or in and around the workouts, not eating 2-3 hours before bed, eating 12 hours fast overnight, and you're eating at a 12-hour window, but eating when you're hungry and eating slowly and mindfully and not just slamming food down to get it in. So chewing your food, but choosing real food over the packaged processed foods, using the shakes and the bars as a supplement, a backup plan until you can get access to real food. Okay, so you can read more about the anabolic window. Dr. Stacy Sims has a great blog on her website, What About the Window? And I just was looking at her article. She talks about that optimal time to enhance muscle gains and recovery through nutrition and the anabolic window post-exercise. So some people say it has been disproven, but she said the window isn't closed in that conversation or the concept of anabolic window. The assertion that the anabolic window isn't relevant arose from a meta-analysis on resistance-trained individuals and has an article in there and other studies reporting the total protein intake across the day should count first, and then timing is additional means of maximizing adaptations. So, love Stacy Sims. She goes a little deeper. There's 2 primary goals of post-exercise nutrition: glycogen recovery and reduction of muscle protein breakdown. She talks in this article, muscle protein breakdown is only slightly elevated post-exercise, but rapidly goes up soon after, with studies indicating 50% increase still apparent 3 hours post-exercise. So Stacy Sims says, once protein has been consumed, anabolism is increased for about 3 hours, with the peak about 45 to 90 minutes. So this negates that 3-hour peak muscle protein breakdown. As soon as you eat, it stops the breakdown. No. So after those 3 hours post-food, the muscle protein synthesis drops, even though blood amino acid levels remain elevated. Resistance training increases sensitivity to muscle protein synthesis up to 24 hours. The agreement is there are likely advantages in consuming protein in close proximity to finishing exercise. She says endurance exercise is a total body protein oxidation. Consuming leucine-rich, fast-release protein as whey isolate as close to the end of your exercise session as possible enhances overall metabolic recovery. So we need to have that protein post-workout. So she does continue to say there's limited research on women, and we need to consider important sex differences. 1, women return to baseline much faster, and women have different protein needs depending on their hormonal status. Protein oxidation during exercise appears to be greater during the mid-luteal phase. Females also require more lysine during luteal phase than the follicular phase, with a lower ability to uptake and utilize amino acids for protein synthesis. Women who use oral contraceptives have different blood amino acid profile than naturally cycling women. And note here is what I was looking for mostly, as the peri and postmenopausal women are increasingly resistant to muscle protein anabolism, building muscle, due to lack of response to exercise and amino acid uptake, due to the change of the ratio of estrogen progesterone and the sensitivity of receptor sites. So it's more complex of our nutrient timing and protein timing for female athletes. So they're looking at, we need to consume high quality protein as close to the beginning and or completion of exercise as possible to reduce exercise-induced amino acid oxidative loss and to initiate muscle protein remodeling and repair at a dose of 0.32 to 0.38 grams per kilogram of body weight. So you can look at that article on our site. Peri and postmenopausal athletes, the dose is more specific. We're looking for high essential amino acid containing 10 grams of intact protein sources or supplements to overcome anabolic resistance. So because we have less estrogen progesterone, the estrogen, we're not having that available anymore. So we need to fight that loss of muscle. We have to work harder to get stronger as we age with our lower hormones, but we don't have to have that change. We can work with it. So we need to lift heavy weights, as she says, and eat our protein and time that protein intake in and around our workouts. Because we need to reduce the exercise-induced amino acid oxidative loss and initiate the muscle protein remodeling repair post-workout. So just to finish here, let's start with eating enough, she says. When it comes to nutrition, very first for all athletes, regardless of age, hormone profile, or sport, is getting enough energy to meet the demands of life. Seeing uptake of low energy availability across levels of all athletes, LEA, and that contributes to relative energy deficiency in sport called REDS. Remembering LEA is exposure and REDS is the outcome. So interesting article. You can go into it more, but the importance of nutrient timing is critical for us aging athletes. And if you want to make sure you're eating in and around your workouts, avoid the excessive fasted workouts we've been doing. And if you're not getting the desired results, you might want to play with having that protein carb in your coffee. It's just 150 calories, but just see if it makes a difference. If you're kind of feeling soft, puffy, slow, and flat. So I think it's something to think about. I've been looking at this for a while. I'm going, you know what? I'm at that age. I'm experiencing what she's talking about. I am getting fatter in my thighs. I feel I'm getting more fat, and I'm working out and I'm swimming, lifting weights, and I just wasn't doing the intervals as I used to. So change how you're training if you're not liking your performance, your body composition is bugging you, your mood, there's a lot to it, our sleep, really change what we're doing. So eating in and around the training, having your protein, doing your HIIT plyometrics, doing your endurance training at a minimal. So more quality over quantity. So she talks about, women that are cycling, how to change their nutrition throughout the cycle. Peri and postmenopausal women have more difficulty finding out do I have low energy availability? Are these menopausal symptoms? So leaning into nutrient timing and energy needs will reduce the risk of LEA. And she talks about women are just more metabolically flexible than men at rest and during exercise. It doesn't mean we don't need carbohydrates. And I keep saying this in my episodes because this is hard for me to wrap my head around. But she talks about how women need exogenous carbs to maximize fatty acid uptake by the mitochondria. So to be more fat-burning exercise, we may need that strategic carb timing we've talked about to enhance fat metabolism so lipid uptake, we've been talking about in another show, but lipid uptake is maximizing fatty acid uptake by the mitochondria. Mitochondria give us that ATP, the energy. So she suggests that female athletes be sure to meet their carb needs throughout all phases of their cycle and tailoring carb intake hormonal status. And then she talks about doing 30 to 60 grams of carbs per hour, which is really a lot. So I'd rather look at the GI distress if you're worried about that. 30 grams of carbs per hour and avoiding exceeding the upper limit of carb ingestion, which I think 60 is the max. And I think that's Dr. Dan Plews in Endure IQ program talks about maximum, don't go over 60 grams of carbs per hour. But 30 grams, looking at what that is, looking at different sources of carbs that don't cause GI distress. And that's why we stopped doing carbs and just focusing on low, slow fuel from S Fuels or UCAN, and then just having more electrolytes in your water and having some fuel throughout. But if you are thinking we women especially we're efficient at burning fat, but we lose that ability for the mitochondria to burn fat. So we need to remember we need some carbs to maximize fatty acid uptake. So to be burning fat during exercise, to have that happen, we need to get some carbs on board first. So experiment. Let me know what you think, what you feel, if your performance improves, if you're starting to see your body composition change. It's not fearing carbs, it's fearing the crap carbs. That's what you need to avoid. Vegetable oils and processed food, refined flours, refined sugars. Dr. Stacy Sims isn't saying eat garbage. She's just, having some potatoes or berries, and she doesn't talk about fat, essential fats as we do, but I really think we need to look at this. If your estrogen's down bottom of the chart as mine is, looking at what you can do to improve that, make up for that loss. So much to dive into. I know I'm talking a lot lately, but prioritizing protein pre-post workout, that is all on my blog. I'll put in the show notes. Okay. I talked for an hour somehow. I don't know how, but let me know what you are doing for your experimenting to improve body composition, speed, power, strength. Let me know, men and women, we are aging. Let's improve the aging process so we are thriving as we get older, not struggling, and we are kicking butt and maybe still racing. You can even improve your performance as you get older. It's just changing what we're doing, okay? So insanity, stop doing the same program over and over again, expecting the same results. It doesn't work. It doesn't work the same. All this long, slow distance we've been doing for years, it once worked. I would qualify for races, Ironman Hawaii, and I'd win top of my age group, but my body's not the same anymore. So we need to make adjustments. Okay, head to debbiepotts.net to get all that information. Tons of free ebooks too. Hey, my fellow aging endurance athletes, just a reminder, if you like what you listened to today, make sure to share this episode with your community. Head to debbiepotts.net to set up a free discovery call to learn more about my personalized coaching programs, especially if you are on a mission as myself to improve the aging process and start training to be my best self when I am 80, 90 years old. So I am on a mission to live my best life and be my best self the second half of my life. So if you're on the same mission as me, head over to my website and YouTube channel to learn more ways to improve the whole you from the inside out with the Holistic Method.
Thanks for listening to the Low Carb Athlete Podcast. If you have any questions, feedback, or topic suggestions, let us know on Facebook or at debbiepotts.net. You can help us continue and grow by leaving a review on iTunes. Thanks again, and see you next time.